Hi everybody, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name's Chantel and today we're doing my September wrap-ups. We have a little bit of a mix-up this month. We've got some thrillers, some romantasy, some historical fiction even. We actually do also have a DNF, but also lots of 5 stars, so I feel like they kind of balance each other out. So we're going to start with the first book that I read this month, which is Silver Elite. That one I don't have the physical copy with me, but I really enjoyed this book. The plot of this book rotates around a rebellion. There's an uprising against the government from those with psychic abilities and against those who don't have psychic abilities. Ren, our main character, has psychic abilities. She is part of the uprising and her uncle as well. Her uncle actually gets captured, so Ren goes to the main city to try and save him, and it just develops from there, having her enroll in their military program. I really enjoyed the magical aspect of this, not like magical powers, but like psychic abilities, how they have like silver veins and they glow when they use their powers. I just thought it was all really interesting and really, I guess, very creative, unique, I guess. I really enjoyed how the author actually broke down some of the world building aspects and how their abilities worked. So the author actually hid them in a flashback to when the main character was 5 years old and just learning about their own abilities and the world. It was kind of like, explain it to me like I'm 5, but hide it in the plot. I really love the ending of this book. I feel like everything just got super flipped around and I thought that was really cool. I wasn't really digging the chemistry between the two main characters, but I was more along the ride for the plot. This is not a serious read. It's more for entertainment and enjoyment, which is most of what my fiction is anyway. I thought the style of the writing was very similar to Fourth Wing, in like the short chapters and every chapter ended with like a little push to get into the next one. It made it really hard to put it down and it made me read it really fast. Overall, I gave this book 5 stars. It was mainly, I enjoyed it. It wasn't a very deep book though, so if you're looking for a deep, like complex plot, maybe not this one, but I really enjoyed it, so 5 stars. My next book, One Golden Summer. This one here, I wish I had read this back in May. I feel like it would have been a 5-star read if I had read it in May, but because I read it in September, I'm only giving it 4 stars. This one here follows a photographer who needs to get out of her life because she's taking everything too serious. She's stressed out at work, and so she ends up taking her grandmother to the lake, just like they did when they were younger. And when she was younger, she used to see these 2 boys and like their neighbor that were playing across the lake. They'd always play every summer, and she always wished she was part of them. She has this bucket list of things that she'd do if she was 17 again. Then she also meets one of the boys from when she was a child, and they get along, and it starts the romance of our book. So if I had bothered to read the back of this book before I started reading it, I would have already known this was coming. But I was annoyed by the fact that Charlie, our male main character, made an appearance. Because if you've read Every Summer After, Charlie's one of the characters in that. So this is kind of like a sequel to it, but not really. It just has the characters revisiting. It's kind of like a spin-off where they want to give one of the other side characters a happy ending. But if you're going to read One Golden Summer, you need to read Every Summer After first. However, I didn't let that stop me. I just pretended Charlie was a whole new character, and I enjoyed it all the same. This book was fun and careless, but it actually did use one of my favorite third act tropes, which I won't say because it's a spoiler. But after that, I was a sucker. I knew it was going to be a high-rated book after that. Also, I did actually cry reading this, just a little bit, but I'm looking for books that make me sob. So if you have any recommendations of a book that made you sob, please leave them in the comments because I could use a good cry. Overall, I gave this book 4 stars, and I really am kicking myself for not reading it sooner. Next up is our historical fiction read for the month, Atmosphere. This one follows Joan in her journey becoming an astronaut, but it takes place back in, I think, 1970s? No, 1980s. It takes place back in the 80s where women are not really allowed to be astronauts, like they're just easing into that with NASA. So it takes the journey with her of becoming an astronaut and how much it takes out of you and what she has to give up and what parts of her she has to hide in order to be an astronaut, but also all the rewards that it gives her as well. There's also like a whole plot going on at the same time. Not just following her journey, but also her whole team is up in space, and she is ground control on Earth, trying to make sure that they make it back to Earth safely. So I love anything by this author. So this was already an auto read for me. I really loved it. I really liked how much I learned from it. So not all of my books are both entertaining and educating, but this one was educational. So I learned a lot about like constellations or what it takes to be like an astronaut and things in the sky that are always consistent, like where the constellations are, what always points which way and stuff like that. It was just entertaining to read. It's always nice to get a little bit of like factoids while you're reading. I always do love her writing style because no matter what the topic is, I will read it. I'm not an expert on space, but I enjoyed this book. Her other books, Carrie Soto is Back, revolves around tennis. I'm not an expert in tennis. I actually just picked it up this summer. I read this book way before then. Enjoyed it. There's also another one by her. It's like 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Circles around old Hollywood. Loved it. That just says I love her writing style, and I would read anything she writes. One of the things that I didn't like about this book was the lack of a conclusion. So on the last page, I turned it, and I was sitting there looking for an epilogue. I needed another chapter or two, just even a little bit of closure. I feel like there was just a name drop at the end, and poof, there it was. That was the end of the book. I didn't get any more, this is what their life looks like afterwards, this is what happens to her, nothing like that. It was just poof, done. And I didn't realize how badly I crave an epilogue until it wasn't available. Overall, I did give this book 3 stars, but that doesn't mean that I wouldn't recommend it. It was educational. I do enjoy her writing style. I just feel like the plot didn't really grab me as much as some of her other books. Now, what type of romance booktuber would I be if I didn't read The Pumpkin Spice Cafe? This one here is on everybody's TikTok For You page. If you haven't read it, it's on your list. And I didn't mind it. I know a lot of people hate it because they say there's not a lot to it. And don't get me wrong, there's not a lot to it. There's not a lot to the plot. It's mainly just you're there for the vibes. So the plot of this book, we've got our main character, Jeannie, who's moving to take over her aunt's cafe. She's going to live in the apartment above the cafe, and she's going to run it. She's super intimidated. She's got imposter syndrome. She doesn't know what she's doing. And someone's messing with her cafe. I'm talking like wires on the dishwasher are cut, someone breaking and banging the windows in the middle of the night, stuff like that, like little things. And she thinks the place is haunted. Well, that's why this book is categorized as a mystery, but let me tell you, it is not a mystery. It is a romance book. The mystery is not enough in this book. So don't read it for its mystery, read it for the romance. Read it for the small town vibes. Because in walks her farmer. Her farmer, who of course is the male main interest. So he tries to help her solve the mystery of the haunted building because he doesn't believe in ghosts. And it just goes from there. I would never recommend this book to someone who doesn't like Hallmark movies. Why not? Because it is dripped in cheese. There is so much cheese in this book, and I loved it. I gave it a 4 stars. Now, if you watched one of my other wrap-ups, I actually read the 4th book in the Dream Harbor series. I gave that one a 5 stars. I actually really liked that one. I prefer it over this one because it has better plot and conflict. This one was just kind of a little simple, just gets you in the fall spirit, really nothing too crazy though. The next book I read was actually the first thriller of the month, getting into spooky season, and it was a 2 stars. The September House. This one here, the author did an amazing job at describing creepy and gory. However, that is where my compliments end. They had 2 trains of thought. They had main character's crazy, house is haunted. You had to pick one. They kept bouncing back and forth between one and the other, and the one they picked, I didn't want. So the whole time I was like along for the ride, and I was really hoping it was the one, and it turns out being the other. So that really bothered me. Also, the ending fight scene was so chaotic, and it went on for so long. I think that could have been cut, and we could have used an epilogue. This is the second book this month that did not have enough of an epilogue. Didn't tell me. I actually think there is a little one, but it doesn't. Actually, maybe no. Nope, there is no epilogue. It just ends. I needed more, and then what? I needed more, what happens after? And this month is the first time that I actually realized how badly I need those. Like, most of the time, I just kind of like zone out in the epilogue, you know, like they're kind of boring or, you know, but apparently I need them more than I thought I did. So this one's only a 2 stars. The idea of the book is our main character has bought a house for dirt cheap with her husband. And every year in September, the hauntings get out of control. I'm talking the walls are bleeding. There's I don't even know what he is, but like some sort of creepy devil in the basement who kills children. And all the children he's killed for when he was alive all haunt the house. And it's just an absolute mess. The husband wants to leave. And the wife says, no, this is my home. So she's determined to just make this work. And her best friend is the ghost maid who has like a huge gash down her head. Like I think she was hit in the head with an axe. And it's just going over the wife trying to make it work. And the husband is gone. Okay, he told her, I can't handle one more September in this house. I'm gone. The 2 of them actually have a daughter who's grown up. And she reaches out and she's phoning. She's like, hey, Mom, like, can I talk to Dad? And every time she gives some excuse as to why Dad's not there and can't come to the phone right now. And so she says, okay, Mom, where's Dad? I need to talk to him. And she wouldn't give her an answer. So she says, that's it. I'm coming. So she comes in September and the mom is losing it because not September. She could come. Actually, she's never been to the house even. For 5 years, she's never been to the house. But if she was going to come, September's not the month. So the mom is like busting her butt trying to cover the hauntings of this house because she doesn't want to scare her daughter. Meanwhile, her daughter is trying to file a missing persons report. And that's the whole idea behind it. I already told you that I didn't like the end fight scene in this book, but I really didn't like the ending. It was giving Dora the Explorer vibes. You know when she turns to the camera after yelling at Swiper for like a whole 30 seconds and says, can you guys all say it with me? If we say it together, it'll be more powerful. And that's all I can think about the whole time I was reading the ending. I actually did like this book. Up until about 2/3 of the way through, then it started changing and not for the better. Next up is our DNF of the month, Assistant to the Villain. This one here, I only made it 58 pages because the female main character annoyed me that much. I was going to give her a shot, and then the POVs rotated, and we were doing the male main character's POV, and that's when it really solidified that it was a DNF, because I was not vibing at all with either of them, so why would I continue? But the male, it was instant love, instant infatuation with the female. I wasn't vibing, and he was supposed to be like this morally gray villain, and he wasn't morally gray enough to be a villain. No. Also, the plot seemed very thin, and maybe it gets better, but from the 58 pages that I read, was our main character, Evangeline, runs into the villain in the forest. He takes her to become his assistant. She's not really enjoying it because it's kind of weird and he's killing people gruesomely, but she enjoys the pay because she lost her other job. We don't know, or at least I didn't figure out how yet. But so she keeps at it for a couple months, just hiding it from her family and the whole village because they're dirt poor and need money. Then he pulls her aside one day, and apparently he thinks that there's a rat in his office. Like, I'm telling, like, someone who is leaking intel, that type of a rat. And so it's her job to find it. And I didn't really care enough. You just introduced us to these characters. I don't care who's the rat. Anyway, that was a 1 star because if I DNF it, that's the ranking. Our next book. This one here, Heartless Hunter. My sister has been telling me for months to read this book because she gave it 5 stars. I read this up in 2 days. I loved it. I myself also gave it 5 stars. So let's get into it. We've got witches. I finally found a serious witch book. They're always so childish. This one I loved. It's about like another kind of rebellion where the witches used to rule and the normal people didn't, and now it's flipped and the normal people overtook the witches. Now the witches are the minority and they're killed on sight and purged, and like they get hung in the square and their necks get slit, and that's what they do. So our main character, she's a witch. She didn't find out she was a witch until her grandmother passed. And so she's all by herself trying to learn these witchy things until she meets her best friend. So I guess, sorry, that's a lie. She's got two best friends. She's got one who's a normal person who knows her secret, and then she's got one who isn't a witch but helps her through the witch pathways because she had witch sisters who were killed in the rebellion. So we've got our main witch, who goes by Crimson Moth is her code name, and her goal in life is to save the witches, okay? Any of the witches that get rounded up to be killed, her goal is to set them free before their purge date. Then we've got our male main character. He is a witch hunter. He's the one who's rounding up the witches, and his goal is to find the Crimson Moth. Tell me that's not a better enemies to lovers, okay? I'm tired of all these rivals to lovers. Give me actual enemies to lovers, okay? He is literally trained to kill her. I don't know how it gets better than that for an enemy. Anyway, what can I say about the book besides I absolutely adored it? Really fast chapters. I thought it was bingeable. I haven't felt this way since I read Fourth Wing. Yeah, I said it. I absolutely need to read the second one. My sister already did. She told me it was not as good as the first. So, managing my expectations, but I will absolutely be continuing this duology before the end of the year. That's my goal. Anyway, 5 stars for this book. I loved it, and it was a fun read. So that's all the books that I read in September. Thanks for watching if you made it this far. Of course, you can like, comment, and subscribe. Leave down below. I need a book that makes me sob, so leave a comment down below with one of those recommendations. Or if you read any of these books, tell me what you thought of them. Otherwise, thanks for watching, everybody. I do post a video every Sunday. They're not always book videos. I'm doing a little bit of lifestyle vlogs mixed in with books because that's just what my life looks like right now. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody, and tune in next Sunday for my next video. Bye!